Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day, good night, good times wherever you are watching SingularityNET for our first AMA of 2023. My name is Janet Adams. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at SingularityNET, and it's my absolute honor to serve this incredible community of SingularityNET followers. Thank you all so much for all your beautiful messages on our insiders. Thank you for your retweeting, your QTing, for your comments on Telegram, your comments on Twitter. We super appreciate you, and we feel you, as we've said it many times before, you're the wind beneath our wings, and everything we do for you. And it's a great honor to be part of such an incredible group with such incredible people. So a very heartfelt Happy New Year to all our SingularityNET community. For those of you who are new to the community, I'm delighted to introduce our executive team who we have assembled here today for this AMA. Firstly, I'll start by introducing our amazing CEO, Dr. Ben Goertzel, tech visionary and often referred to as the father of AGI. He's going to be talking to us a little bit about AGI coming up. But Ben, would you like to say hi to everyone?
Hey, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us for this AMA. Look forward to giving you a quick run through of what we've been up to and where we're going, and then answering some of your many questions, which is going to be the most interesting part.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ben. Also with us here today, we have Dr. Matt Ickley, our Chief AI Officer. Dr. Matt Ickley has got a highly esteemed and accomplished background as a doctor and professor of maths at Adams University, no relation to me. And we're very lucky to have him with us, leading all of our AI efforts as Chief AI Officer. And Matt is going to talk you through his blog that he posted on a couple of days ago on AGI in 2022. Hi, Matt.
Hi, all. Welcome, and I'm looking forward to communicating our progress.
Thank you. And progress we do have to communicate in bucketfuls. Finally, for my introductions, VP of Product, VP of Product and Head of Deep Funding, of course, our own Jan Horlings. Jan came from the community, as did I, and is much loved by all our community, and it's always fabulous to have him with us. Jan will be talking to us about our plans for the platform and about deep funding progress in general. Hi, Jan.
Hi there. Honored to be here in the presence of three amazing people. And now being on this side of the community, indeed. So it's a pleasure and a privilege.
We're honored to be here with you as well, Jan. Thank you so much indeed for joining us. So to let everybody know what's coming up, I hope you're all going to watch the whole AMA, but for those of you who are going to tune in and out, the agenda is as follows. First, I'm going to talk through at a very high level all of the progress we made in 2022. This will be familiar to those of you who have been following us day by day in our community, but a nice opportunity for our new community members, of whom we have many, to get a overview in one single place of SingularityNET projects and what we achieved in 2022. Ben will then share his CEO thoughts on 2022. Matt is going to share a very special piece of scientific literature, which he published this week for us, a blog on progress in true AGI, on AGI in 2022. We're then going to move into thinking about 2023. I'll talk through the high level milestones, but Ben and Jan will give us more details, and then we're going to go to your questions. So we'll timestamp it all when we're all done, but that's what we're going to be doing. And without any further preamble, let me come into sharing with you our progress in 2022. The links are in the YouTube channel if you'd like to follow along with me. Now, what you can see here on my screen, I'm assuming that's all sharing, right? Or somebody will tell me otherwise. This is the blog that we published. The team have been very busy making sure that we're publishing a lot of materials for you all. And we're really doing our best to turn our science into easy to understand English. So this was our 2022 year in delivery blog that we posted last Friday, so reasonably hot off the press. And I'm going to talk you through at a very high level this infographic, which just covers all of the key deliverables. Let me just get this fully sized. And first off, I'm going to counter quite quickly through these as we'll have further details coming. Of course, our core mission at SingularityNET is development of beneficial, benevolent, artificial general intelligence for a beneficial singularity to bring benefit to everyone on the planet, not just a few. We're decentralized AI, and Matt's going to talk to you in detail about how we developed and released the first meta language prototype. We also benchmarked our Neuro-symbolic Minecraft agents, and we implemented our first distributed atom space. Matt is going to explain what all of these terms mean, but a space for thinking and a thinking mechanism for AGIs in the future. AGI is our core mission, along with the SingularityNET two-sided AI marketplace. We developed this significantly in 2022, and it's rising up in our focus as well for 2023, which Jan is going to talk to you about. But we added AI model training. We initiated the design and started the Cardano platform port, which of course is very exciting for us. We announced the HyperCycle project, which has made huge amounts of progress, which is our sidechain of Cardano to enable AI and AI to AI microtransactions in a radically environmentally friendly and radically scalable architecture. And we also added 22 new services to the marketplace, and we updated 6. So please head along to our marketplace, take a look at our services which we offer there. Now, one of the things which is probably unique, someone can correct me if I'm not right, one of the things which we're very proud of our eminent leadership in is AI to AI communication. Is one of our very, very exciting projects. So we did a lot, we completed 3 phases of progress on our AI domain specific language, our AI DSL. AI DSLs will allow AIs to speak to each other, to collaborate independently with each other on our AI marketplace, or if people want to use it elsewhere, it can be used elsewhere. And so instead of having just a narrow AI, which is capable of only one process step, for example, in a long process, our DSL will allow all the AIs to club together and complete more complex processes together. The scale and the scope of that expansion when it comes is obviously a key part to both interoperability on our marketplace, but also for the emergence of new intelligence and new forms of breakthrough science. So thanks to our friends at Cardano, our Cardano Catalyst Fund 7 funded our phase 2 for AI DSL, and we're now currently working on phase 3. And that is our progress on AI DSL. And perhaps you guys could put yourselves on mute while you're not talking. That would be super great. Thank you. Right. So bringing us on to, because our technology is extremely important to us, but it's also extremely important to us that our technology is decentralized and that the output and that the benefit is for the benefit of all humanity, for all of you in the community. And we are committed to decentralization. We completed our round 1 of deep funding. We launched some deep funding open governance events, which were very well attended. And we've launched our ambassador program. And I'd stop and say a huge thanks to those of you in our ambassador program. We've been seeing a lot of progress. We've been rewarding, of course, with AGIX but more importantly, we know everyone comes to the ambassador program because they're passionate about the project and because they really care about what we're doing. So please keep that up. And also anyone new who would like to join our ambassador program, we have lots of fantastic opportunities for being part of what we do. And finally, we published our decentralization report, and Jan is going to talk to you about our plans for decentralization in 2023. Cross-chain interoperability is very important to us. So we launched our AGIX ETH converter bridge for the Cardano blockchain. That also supports NTX conversion and is really massively utilized, we're seeing, since its launch. We launched our AGIX ADA loyalty program. I hope you all enjoyed your little bonus loyalty for just in time for the holidays, for those of you who've been celebrating holidays. And we will talk in the plan section on AGIX staking on Cardano, which is a major focus and priority for us at the moment and will be launched in Q1 2023, when staking being one of the most popular questions for us on Twitter. And there you go, there's the answer soon. And lastly, so surrounding our core systems and our core technologies, we are also seeding the use of these technologies in a number of strategically selected vertical markets. So how did we do this in 2022? We did a huge amount of activity, working with some really brilliant people. We kicked off the Jam Galaxy project. We launched the world's first humanoid fronted robot band in LA at a music industry conference. And Jam Galaxy is really there to support musicians and make the most of Web3 opportunities for musicians to directly work with their fans and for fans to directly reward their musicians. We initiated Cogito, an entirely new crypto asset class, which we're calling tracer coins, which is pegged to a basket of, which is pegged to an index with a basket of assets related to initially environmental progress. And this will both drive greater environmental accountability as well as track progress against a number of environmental issues, sustainability being a great passion of Matt here with us today. Our Rejuve longevity app went into alpha and beta release and has been extremely well received with lots of fantastic feedback. People are really enjoying it and is coming up very soon for its full release. And lastly, we founded Rejuve Biotech, our very latest, newest project from SingularityNET in our spin-offs, which is conducting longevity pharmaceutical research, utilizing the data, genomic data from long-lived Methuselah flies and conducting transfer learning on those to be able to draw some parallels, some human homologs, find human homologs of genes in humans and learn what can we learn from the flies that can be applied to humans for longevity. That was a counter through a huge amount of stuff because we did a huge amount of stuff in 2022. Anyone who would like to read the blog, please go ahead, read the blog. And if you've got any further questions on it, we can answer them. But Ben, as I take a little pause for breath, I'll pass over to you for your thoughts on 2022, please.
Yeah, sure. And thanks, Janet, for giving this systematic overview, which sort of will allow me to give a more qualitative perspective on things. I mean, you know, through 2022 and going into 23, crypto obviously has been a wild ride, as it has been, you know, since the very beginning. We've seen ups and downs in the markets. We've seen fraud cases, all sorts of crazy things. We've also seen a lot of new technologies mature and roll out, which is exciting. And I think, you know, we're in a interesting time in the crypto markets, but we're clearly in a time when an amazing amount of quality technology is being built, and we can see that in SingularityNET, we see that in Cardano ecosystem, we see that in a whole bunch of other places. And I think, you know, personally, I'm a big optimist, not just in general, but also about the whole crypto sphere. And I think the stuff that we're building now is going to yield, you know, incredible value scientifically and engineering wise, in a humanitarian way, and also economically as the markets resurge over time. Now, that said, there are other trends beyond crypto that are very positive for SingularityNET and for SingularityNET's mission, everything involved with it, which is the AI space, right? And AI is truly booming, and I don't think this is a bubble, because the boom in AI, it's not driven just by hype and concepts and ideas and promises. I mean, it's driven by AI software that does really cool stuff, and everyone is using it, is being rolled out across many different vertical markets. So I think we're in an AI burst, and it's going to be followed by one AI burst after another, and this is a very exciting time to be doing an AI project. And in that vein, a whole bunch of the tech projects that SingularityNET is fostering and bringing to bear, I think, have been moved along materially, sort of behind the scenes in terms of hardcore tech progress during 2022, and then in 2023 are poised to really explode into the world. So marektplace, in a minute or so, will tell a little bit about some of our progress on core general intelligence, sort of cognitive algorithms and data structures and systems, which is OPenCog Hyperon, and to make sure that this generally intelligent thinking machine we're building in OPenCog Hyperon really does run in a democratically controlled and decentralized way. I mean, we've been working behind the scenes a lot on the port of SingularityNET platform to Cardano. The staking portal is coming soon, which is a little step along the way, but we've been doing a bunch with the Hydra team, more fundamentally, on getting SingularityNET platform onto Cardano. And then this ties in with the HyperCycle project, our new Cardano sidechain that we've been actually digging deep into the engineering on already, ledgerless blockchain that should allow us to really run more and more of our AGI on chain. And then along with these underlying fundamental technologies, Janet has already run through some of the spin-off projects we've been incubating, which will leverage all this decentralized AI and AGI tech we're building in one after another valuable vertical markets. And then beyond these projects we've been incubating, there's all the projects that deep funding has been accelerating through the token grants problem, which also can leverage all this infrastructure that's coming together. So I mean, I think it's quite exciting, if complex, time, right? Dealing with the craziness of crypto markets, the inexorable rise of AI, and then the ongoing build out of the core technologies that's going to allow our tech to play really a large role in the next phases of the AI revolution. And I think I want to leave time for Q&A, which is the main point here. So maybe Matt, you can briefly say a little bit about OPenCog Hyperon, and then we can move on toward the Q&A part.
Hold on. Okay. Hi. So I'm sharing kind of the picture of a lot of the work that we've done on the OPenCog Hyperon cognitive architecture. Ben, thanks for that introduction. It was really so the ideas that we fulfilled in 2022, the work that occurred, that came prior, and I'm kind of amazed at how much, looking back a year later, how much of our plans we were able to implement. And at this stage, basically, we've set the stage for what I think is going to be incredible progress in 2023. The foundations are there, and we're beginning to fulfill the vision that we set out for ourselves a couple of years ago. So just to put things into a broader perspective, so Hyperon is our new version of what we had originally come up with as the OPenCog framework, framework for building artificial general intelligence. Hyperon is designed with a number of key fundamental enhancements that will enable OPenCog to become much more scalable, efficient. It's founded on principles that are much more native to the computing architectures that we're working with. So that's kind of, and key to the, and one of the key components of this is our meta type talk is what that stands for, language interpreter, that a year ago was an idea, and now it's at a pre-alpha stage where we're beginning to port over a lot of the key ideas, modules from our original OPenCog. So just to go over this graphic a little bit. So at the top, hopefully you see my cursor here. We can ingest all kinds of different sorts of specialized AI systems, whether these be generative neural networks like ChatGPT, or uncertain inference systems like our own probabilistic logic networks, or program learning algorithms like our meta optimizing semantic evolutionary search, or MOSES for short, and all sorts of these AI modules. What's really unique about the OPenCog framework is, and what got also developed in this past year, is the distributed atom space. What's unique about that, if anybody's ever worked in AI, is algorithms typically take different types of inputs and different types of outputs, and everything has to be massaged so that you're trying to fit things together. It's a mess. But with the distributed atom space, all the algorithms work directly in this common knowledge space. So rather than translating back and forth, it just works directly on that space. But the distributed atom space, another piece that we pretty much got done in, again, an idea the year before, now it's ready to be used. So that kind of sets the stage. We're working now on porting over some of the individual components that we had already developed, and ready to use this the work that we've done as a springboard basically into the future. So one of the unique things that I want to talk a little bit about is our neuro-symbolic architecture that allows for kind of basically a more granular reasoning process in traditional deep neural networks, for example. If you wanted to count red cars, you would have to train on specifically red cars. If you think about that, as humans, we kind of learned this concept of red things, and we learned this other concept of car objects, and we kind of can plug and play these ideas together rather than just being focused on very specific things. So we compose things, we combine these things in a more flexible manner. So that's just some of the progress that we've been made. It basically sets the foundation, and now we're getting ready to run on that foundation. And so I'm pretty much excited, or very excited, about how we're going to be able to combine all these pieces that we've built in the last year and use these moving forward. And I think that that's where the energy is going to come moving forward. And with that, I'll turn back to Ben for his his comments on the future of AGI.
Comments on the future of AGI would take more time than I want to take here, given that I want to get to Q&A, but I just want to I want to add a tiny little bit on how all this fits into SingularityNet and the big picture of SNet. And Matt, I think you're still sharing the infographic, which is obstructing people from seeing my beautiful face. All right, here we go. So yeah, I mean, OPenCog Hyperon in itself is really the sort of the summary of many decades of R&D on AGI, not just by me, but by Matt, Alexei Potapov, Sergei Shalapin, and loads of other researchers in SingularityNETs and OPenCog's AI teams. And I think, much as with deep neural networks, I mean, there we had a technology that was incubating a very long time in the research world. And I used to teach deep neural nets in university in the 90s and work on them in the 80s. And then software, technology, tooling, hardware infrastructure got to a certain point, and then boom, these started to have incredible practical impact on the world and just work much better than they had before. And I think we're going to see the same thing with these broader sorts of AGI technologies that we've been developing in Hyperon. We're finally getting to the point where we have the data and the hardware and the software tooling that these long germinated algorithms can show their stuff. And then what's very interesting in the SingularityNet context is, I mean, if we made a big AGI breakthrough with OPenCog Hyperon, and then we thought, well, oh shit, how do we decentralize and democratize this? In a way, it would be too late, right? Because once you have a very highly functional advanced system doing amazing stuff, running on centralized infrastructure, it's just slow and a lot of work to go back and figure out how to reorganize all the infrastructure. But the fact that we have SingularityNet platform, we have NewNet to decentralized processing power, we have HyperCycle coming along, means that as Hyperon comes into maturity and starts, kicking the world in the ass and doing many more positive and happy things to the world, right? I mean, then we already have this decentralized infrastructure for it. And so Hyperon is being designed for decentralized deployment on HyperCycle, SNet, and NewNet. And there's really a couple directions we're looking at going forward to 2023. So one direction I think of as, in a way, the tail wagging the dog, which is looking at large language models and other neural nets that are amazing and doing very cool stuff, but are very much narrow AIs, and looking at connecting them with OPenCog Hyperon just to make them a little less stupid and understand what they're doing a bit better. And I think this can be very helpful in medicine, in music, in robotics, and natural language dialogue, just using Hyperon to make current neural nets smarter. And then the other aspect, which I think of as the dog wagging the tail, ultimately is teaching OPenCog Hyperon systems based on their own life and experience to gradually gain their own general intelligence. And then from that standpoint, neural nets and other current AI algorithms are sort of things that can help accelerate and upgrade their intelligence. And we can use Hyperon in both of these ways, as an enhancer for other AI techniques that are doing amazing but narrow things, and as a foundationally different approach. And I want to get on to questions, so I'm not going to go too much more depth here, but I think we're going to do another AMA at some point in the next month or two, focus just on general intelligence technologies and dig a bit more in there. Because as I said in my earlier remarks, I mean, we're riding an amazing wave of enthusiasm and progress in the AI field, and I think this is going to lift SingularityNet to incredible heights in the next year.
I do too, Ben. Thank you so much for that. And just before we move on, would you please answer a question we've got from one of our stalwart SingularityNET community, who's been a hodler with the project since the ICO in 2017, Jeremy. Jeremy asks, he says, I don't understand how these main value drivers are only 1 year old initiatives. What was the company doing the prior 5 years? Just a very short answer before we start looking forward and come on to questions and answers. Ben or Matt?
I mean, I don't see what are 1 year initiatives, given that OPenCog was founded in 2008. I think that the R&D on that has been going on longer than SingularityNET. And I mean, my work on HyperCycle, together with Tufi and Dan from Toda. I mean, you can look way back to posts on the Todalarity, I think from 2018 actually. So I mean, I think all of this work from a software development and math view, I mean, all this work has been crunching along, since the beginning of SingularityNET, and the impression that these are new initiatives is probably just because we're packaging these up to push them out into the world as their own projects newly now, because the internal tech development, due to the previous work, got to a new level of maturity. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Matt?
I was going to say, so I guess that was probably at a certain point my fault. I was thinking some of the design that we had been working on prior to that kind of got finalized more or less a year ago. So for example, how to do the distributed atom space, thinking through the meta language. We had been talking about moving in that direction for quite some time, but the designs got completed about a year ago, and then it took the last year to actually implement.
Okay, fantastic.
Sure,
Thank you.
I mean, for example, the work on probabilistic reasoning in Hyperon on genomic data that we're doing to help Rejuve with longevity research. I mean, this is a direct port into Hyperon of what we were doing in the prior version of OPenCog for years beforehand. So I think that pretty much continuous development behind the scenes on the tech side. And what's exciting is that now so many things are ready to be rolled out in practice.
That is the exciting inflection point. And I just add, thank you, Jeremy. I'd also add, I'm pretty sure, Ben, you decided you were going to make a thinking machine at about the age of 3. So really, these projects are probably a number of decades old at this stage. And I know since the first WebMind engine in 1998, with yourself and Matt and Cassio and Andre Senna, the work has been ongoing. So it's a lifetime's work coming to fruition at this pivotal point of time in 2023. So I'm going to now move very quickly on to looking forwards onto the plans for 2023. Ben is right. We do want to get on to sharing we do want to get on to talking about the questions that you are looking at the moment. Now here we go. Is that sharing the right screen? Jan, Rainer, everybody, etc. This is yes. So now I'm sharing. This is the SingularityNET operations, our Q4 update, in response to a lot of questions I had from the community about providing more regular updates on things like what we're up to. We have provided quarterly updates throughout 2022. We'll be continuing to provide them in 2023. Do please let me know if there's any changes you want to see. Indeed, more focus on the platform in the updates will be coming. But we shared a roadmap, and just to very briefly touch on that roadmap, what is coming up? Q1 2023 is looking to be utterly chock full of deliverables, of releases, and so much work that we worked on right through 2022 is right now at the brink of fruition. So I'm going to let Ben and Matt talk briefly about what we're going to be doing with Hyperon, how we're taking forward the AI DSL at a high level, Everybody wants to know, and I see you asking on YouTube, and great question. Wherever I go to conferences, I get asked the same question. When are we staking on Cardano? And that will be coming by the end of Q1 is our current plan, subject to no really nasty bugs arising. Development is on track and making great progress at the moment. We'll have voting platforms supporting AGIX on Cardano. We'll have the staking portal live. We'll have, and then moving into deep funding, Jan will talk to you about it, deep funding round 2. But on the spin-off front, we are right on the brink of launching the Rejuve app live and for real. That will certainly be out in Q1, early months of Q1 is what's currently being aimed for, and we'll have the Bayes expert onto the marketplace. We're going to be launching the Mindplex magazine, and that is going out in 12 days time on the 24th of January. So please tune in. We'll be doing another live stream for that. That is going to launch with its content factory, with personalized feed, and with our reputation and recommendation engine, both of which are also coming onto the SingularityNET marketplace. To answer those of you asking, where are we seeing killer apps on the marketplace? These are 2 killer apps coming right here in January, reputation and recommendation engine on SNet marketplace during Q1. We will be launching, so the artisan fan portal for Jam Galaxy is built. We're going to have the first Jam Galaxy music AI services on the SNet marketplace. We're going to have a demo and an MVP for our Cogito Green Coin and our Cogito Green Coin Tracer Coin. We're going to have early alpha of HyperCycle, public alpha of NewNet, and thanks to everybody who's been helping NewNet with their beta testing. And we're going to have the first tokenomics-based use case on NewNet, along with the switch to libp2p. So that is what we've got planned for Q1. We've got a heap more stuff going on. I'll let the guys, I mean, we're going to be making the first steps towards replacing OPenCog by Hyperon Meta in the SingularityNET dialogue system, and working with our true AGI spin-off on that. We'll have inference control for real-time PNN-based common sense reasoning, first end-to-end working setup of Hyperon Meta and distributed atom space. 5 services integrated with AI DSL. So think about that. That's really quite revolutionary breakthrough coming from a background of technology and robotics and large-scale process re-engineering. One of the real drawbacks of narrow AI is it only does one little part of a process, and you've got to build the rest of the process around it. Well, now we're going to have 5 AIs working together to do a Chinese singing use case. We're going to, of course, carry on with the platform migration to Cardano. Will be a huge focus area for us. Get reputation funding, dashboard up in place for deep, and I'll let Jan talk about that. More development of the Rejuve network, onboarding more users, and beginning premium subscription in the Rejuve app. And so on it goes. Music streaming, song recommender. We'll actually launch the Cogito Tracer Coin, G Coin, and integrate with the system. And Mindplex magazine will roll out a mobile app. So you can read all about this, along with details of what we're doing in Rejuve Biotech, where we're going to start feeding AI with completed time point transcriptomes and have higher coverage genetic sequencing of the Methuselah flies. So huge amount of really exciting things coming up in 2023 for SingularityNET, and we're absolutely super stoked to be on the brink of this incredible transformation, this incredible switch from industry 4.0, which is characterized by narrow AI, and into industry 5.0, where we are really pushing at the leading edge with AIs that speak to each other and neuro-symbolic, highly intelligent AI systems. So that is it for the rundown of what we're actually covering for our agenda. And now we're going to move into answering some of your questions, which thank you very much for those who have handed them in. But before we do that, I'm going to ask Jan Horlings to talk us briefly through deep funding and platform plans for 2023, and then touch back to Matt, and we'll come on to the questions afterwards.
Thank you, Janet. My ears are ringing of all the stuff that's going on, and I'm sure that I'm not the only one. So it's a lot to take in, but it shows we're doing a lot. So if we're taking one step back, there was this question about the last 5 years. If I look at that from a platform and services perspective, the way to look upon that is that we started in 2017 to build the platform. And when we built the platform to drive utility and users of the platform, we started incubating a number of spin-offs, a number of verticals that you also mentioned right now. And some of them have already spun off, are independent. So one way towards decentralization is making all these entities that use the platform and will build on the platform independent themselves. And then the next step of that, the next step in that evolution is deep funding, where through deep funding, we will enable the community to build on the platform and utilize the platform, looking also at the reference cases that we are making through our own spin-offs. So having arrived at this stage, what you will see in the coming year, you will see a number of services from the spin-offs land on the platform. Singularity DAO, Rejuve, Gem Galaxy, Mindplex, you will see services from all those spin-offs land. But you will also see services from deep funding land, and some perhaps already quite soon. And while we are taking off some focus of all these spin-offs that will be increasingly independent, we also have more room to continue working on the platform and put some renewed focus there as well. So if I look upon the roadmap for the platform for the coming year, as you already mentioned, first there's staking. That's our highest priority. All the code is basically done, but we're bug fixing and testing and testing again and retesting again, because this is about a lot of tokens that represent monetary value. So we need to be extremely prudent there. But it's looking very stable. So we're going to testing, bug fixing, integration of front end, and then a full end-to-end test, and then we will start with a public beta followed by go live. And I'm pretty confident that all of that will happen in Q1 this year, and hopefully in a couple of weeks we can announce the date for the start of the public beta. So that's about staking. Another thing that is high on our agenda is voting, our voting portal, and voting on Cardano. So we want to ensure that people can vote both with AGIX on Ethereum or AGIX on Cardano on our voting portal. And for February, there are also 2 voting events being planned. One for round 2 of deep funding, and another voting event where we ask the community about their opinions on the loyalty airdrop and how to go forward with that in the next year. Then another thing, which is very close to my heart as well, is onboarding. We want to improve the onboarding process on our platform, partly because the first experiences of some deep funding teams that I encounter, I think there's room on multiple ways to improve that. One way would be very simple. Look again at all the documentation we already have there. Maybe at some point it's a little bit overwhelming, it's a little bit too much, and streamline that. Another option would be to do onboarding as a service, and also maybe with the help of third parties that could help us with that. And a third option there would be, and actually we're talking about that with a deep funding team, is to see if we can further automate the whole onboarding process. So there's a lot going on there as well. We want to make that as easy and seamless as possible. Also to drive utility and to make it easier to create more services on the platform. Then, of course, we will migrate our marketplace to Cardano. Actually, we expect that to be a little bit less intense than staking because there's not that huge amount of tokens involved. So, and there's already a lot of stuff we can reuse. But yeah, so we'll work on that. Also, there's some analysis we still have to do with the Cardano Hydra protocol there. But we will see that after that. And then there are things like we started with enabling training data with services, so you can have a model and you can train it on your own data. That's very important. We have a first MVP on the platform, but we definitely want to increase that effort and make that easier and better and add more features. Also, interesting in this context is we have done a transition from a team to a new team that is now fully involved in the platform. And that is the same team that is also working on all kinds of services. And I think having that in the same hands will also, and I actually also see that in our discussions, the old team was perfect, but still having a new team that is also involved in services and now thinking on onboarding and thinking about the marketplace is a refreshment, and you will see some new initiative coming from that side as well. So far about the platform. Deep funding. I can talk 2 hours about that, but I won't because we're pressed in time here. So let me do a quick roundup of what we've done so far and what you can see. We had a first round last year of deep funding where we offered $1 million in AGIX. We already had some new things there, like we had grade voting from 1 to 10 instead of just for or against. And we did milestone-based disbursement, which is, I think, a great success. So we don't offer everything at once. We also don't do it time-based, but we do it based on what the team is delivering. And that makes the collaboration with the teams from both sides much easier and better and constructive. After that, we did a governance round to ask the community, what do you think we can improve in round 2 of deep funding? And here we again did a lot of experimentation. So we started with a reputation system based on the feedback that everybody is giving. So the constructive actions that people are giving on our platform will give you a kind of reputation. And then we're already using that reputation score as an added weight in our voting portal. And we are also using that reputation to incentivize the community in the form of AGIX to become more productive and engaged. And so there's a lot of, another thing we did on the voting portal is starting quadratic voting. So that there's more balance between wallets with a lot of tokens and wallets with just a few tokens. And by balancing that with the reputation gained on the platform, we believe we have a very good system that needs to be matured over multiple rounds that will help us to have a good weighted way of voting and will motivate people to become engaged and give the people that are most engaged on our platform also the biggest voice. So there's a lot of things going on. We're now in round 2. One thing I want to highlight in round 2, we have 5 different pools in round 2. Round 2 is still open until the end of this month, the 29th of January to be precise. We have one specific new pool there, which is about existing services. And I want to use this opportunity to ask all our community members, if you want to be engaged and if you want to help our platform grow, then you can do it using these pools. Even if you're not an AI developer yourself, you can reach out to other AI developers. You can build a plan together with them. You can help them create a proposal, and you can get compensated for that as well. So have a look at that and help us build this platform and seed this platform with new and exciting services. All this experimentation and new tooling, etc., actually go to such an extent that yesterday in our call with the governance group, people of the community that like to be involved in the governance, actually came to a point where they told me, Jan, you can slow down a little bit. And that shows me that we are now decentralizing things through deep funding. We're thinking about the process of awarding teams, and there's a lot to be done there. The next step would be to also think about the governance of deep funding itself. How do we make decisions on how to use and utilize the treasury of deep funding? And for that, we are also engaging also in the coming months in thinking and exploring together with you, also in a summit that will be organized on further decentralization. And there will be more about that in the coming months. So stay tuned and join us in that conversation through that summit, but also already today in our social channels and deep funding channels. And looking forward to hear your opinions and driving both the platform forward, but also driving decentralization forward, and make sure that SingularityNET and the platform would become an example of decentralization in the whole ecosystem. I think that's it for now. Back to you, Janet.
Thank you so much, Jan. Your passion and just authentic love for deep funding and the platform and everything you do there just shines through. And on that final point on decentralization, it's a really important point. If you have not read our decentralization report that we published in September, please do take a look. But the conclusion was that there aren't really many or any fantastic examples of decentralized organizations and how they work. So along with leading frontier tech at the very front leading edge of innovation, we're also leading frontier social organization with our decentralization plans, and we've got a couple of really great initiatives lined up for very early, and thanks to our Supervisory Council, David Orban, Penny Wong, and Esther, who helped us with that report. Right, so on to your questions. Everybody wants to talk about ChatGPT-3, which almost sounds like a contradiction in terms it could talk about itself. So we're going to kick off with the initial questions. Have you thought of, or are you developing something similar to ChatGPT-3? Alexander Wall asks, when will Singularity have a SingularityNET have a ChatGPT counterpart? Mr. Web Designer asks, do you intend to release a usable feature like OpenAI is, which is kind of moving on from the ChatGPT-3? And Human One Squared asks, what will SNET be able to do that, say, ChatGPT-3 will not be able to do? I'd love to hear Ben reason on this. So Ben, there's our first four questions.
Sure. Yeah, so this is this is a big topic, and like I said, it'd be good to do a whole in-depth AMA with myself and some other members of the AI team on this. So I mean, I think the weaknesses of large language models have been covered extensively, and if people are interested, you could look up some of the writings of Gary Marcus, who did a fireside chat with me at the last AGI conference, but he's an AGI researcher, I mean, independent from SingularityNET, and he's written a bunch of articles and given some talks, sort of stepping through in a fairly precise way with specific examples, you know, how large language models like GPT-3, Google's BERT, ChatGPT, and so on, really amazing and cool as they are in many ways, they don't understand what they're talking about, and they're fundamentally not architected to understand what they're talking about, and the amount of bullshit that they sort of senselessly generate can be decreased and filtered in various ways, but fundamentally that's a problem of the architecture, because what these systems are doing is, I mean, they're ingesting all the information from the web, or a substantial portion thereof, and they're sort of remixing it in a weighted and judicious way in response to user prompts. And it's amazing how well this works. I mean, it's super cool, but on the other hand, nowhere in that architecture is there anything that makes any effort to understand the meaning of the text being read or the text being produced. And for some applications, that doesn't matter. And the same is true in human life. There are some things in human life we can do without understanding what the fuck is going on. And sometimes it's even an advantage in life, right? But there's a lot of cases where it isn't. And the example of that in the language model world would be Facebook's Galactica, which was a large language model aimed at science. And that's a domain where having no understanding of what you're talking about is actually really, really bad. And they had to take that offline very, very quickly, right? So, and then in some domains, like just entertaining chat back and forth, it doesn't matter. Maybe like writing a cover letter when you're applying for a job, it doesn't matter as much. It's a bit cliche. You can't do science papers this way, right? So I think there's big strengths there. There's big weaknesses there. In terms of the precise business approach OpenAI is taking, obviously they're burning 100K per day running the servers for OpenAI to provide a free service, which is a good thing to do if you're Microsoft and have the money. So I mean, we're keeping afloat financially. We're doing fine. I'm not complaining, but we don't have the free cash to run stuff like that eats millions of dollars per month in processor time and provide it for free as a cool demo to get mind share. We do have tokenomic systems and frameworks that provide novel ways to give processing power for all these things, but these are more complicated than what OpenAI is doing on that side, right? So in terms of what we can do that's unique, we sort of already covered this at the high level in Matt's and my earlier remarks. I mean, I think there are ways to use OPenCog Hyperon and AIDSL and related technologies to create systems addressing particular vertical market needs that incorporate both large language models, not necessarily ChatGPT itself, but analogous large language models that are more purely open, right? So we can combine large language models with OPenCog and other neuro-symbolic technologies, and we can use that for, you know, improved natural language interaction and generation, say in the biomedical domain for awakening health with the Grace robot and Rejuve, and for discussing futurist articles on Mindplex and so forth, and for music modeling in Gem Galaxy. So I think there's a generation of things we can do, putting our neuro-symbolic technology together with large language models and other current generative neural nets. That's all really cool. On the other hand, that's also not the direct path to AGI. And I think it's important to understand the real path to AGI is to have systems, you know, controlled by Hyperon or another serious cognitive architecture that just, they're little babies at first, and they're toddlers, and they're learning from their experience. Then once they reach a certain level of maturity from this experiential learning, you know, then they can get juiced up with all the knowledge from large language models and neuro-symbolic system trained on massive amount of data. Now, the beautiful thing is systems like Hyperon and infrastructures like SingularityNET platform, NewNet, HyperCycle, I mean, these can be used as infrastructure, sort of both for systems that juice up neural nets using a bit of Hyperon on top, and for systems that make a more fundamental approach to AGI grounded in experiential learning. I mean, we can do both of these. We can do both of these on decentralized infrastructure. And I mean, we've been building this sort of plumbing layer for this for quite some time, and it's cool to see us at the point where we're about to launch this in so many different vertical areas.
Thanks very much, Ben. Right, we're going to do all the questions that we want Ben to answer first, given that he's the one who's going to have to shoot up before the rest of us. So Ben, on row 14 of our spreadsheet, what is the most ambitious goal of AGIX, and what is the ultimate vision that AGIX is trying to achieve in the current market? Which, of course, is utility. I'll let you explain.
Yeah, I mean, SingularityNET has a well understood utility token-based economic model, and in essence, all these different amazing spin-offs that we've been incubating and are now putting out into the market, and all the awesome projects being accelerated and incubated by deep funding. I mean, all these they're designed and geared up to leverage the AGIX token in various ways within their operation. I mean, for payment, for reputation rating, and to sort of to catalyze the information exchange between AIs by the AI DSL. And as our infrastructure becomes faster and less expensive, we're going to see the use of the AGIX token sort of scale down into more and more of the AI system operations, right? So I mean, the point of the port to Cardano, and then the point of HyperCycle, even more so, is just to make it way cheaper and faster to actually use the blockchain within the operations of AI mines and AI applications, which drives more and more token utilization. And the whole economics of the platform is the more token utilization, so the more overall value is accumulated into the ecosystem. And indeed, I mean, this has all been slower to happen than we thought it would when we founded this in 2017, but yet the basic logic that we articulated in the initial white paper in 2017, it's all unfolding. Everything we said there still makes total sense in my view. It's just that progress in complex systems is sometimes not that linear, right? And I think the burst of progress we're seeing in AI now, I think in general can lead to a big burst of progress for SNet, and the burst of development we're seeing in HyperCycle now is going to lead to a big burst in efficiency of blockchain systems. So I think we're nearing a sort of phase transition that's going to move us into a period of much more rapid growth.
Thank you very much, Ben. We always like periods of much more rapid growth. They're exciting times we're in. Next question I'm going to ask you was submitted by Underwater Frog. Thank you, Underwater Frog. Says, we might be in a crypto winter with little new money flowing into crypto because of scams like FTX and overregulation. Can you please elaborate on how SingularityNET will target the market to gain interest for their AI-based product that connects to the real world needs?
Well, there's going to be a lot of products built on SingularityNET platform, and really the role of SingularityNET Foundation itself isn't to launch and operate these products any more than the role of Linux is to create all the applications running on top of Linux operating system, right? I mean, we're creating the tools and the systems and the infrastructure to allow so many different products to flourish. And I mean, just as been seen across the blockchain space with the the time Ethereum 2 is taking to come out, and the time that Cardano has taken to roll out their various infrastructure features. I mean, getting the whole tech stack of the global internet and software ecosystem to run in a decentralized way. I mean, this is a feasible thing. It's a workable thing. It's been a little harder and slower than the various tech geniuses involved had envisioned. So we're certainly getting there. If you look at what blockchains do now compared to 3 or 4 years ago, it's incredible how fast and cheap they are. But I think there is another year or two of development to go before running on a decentralized infrastructure is not sort of a pain in the butt to deal with from a software development framework. And we really need HyperCycle to be mature to get over that hurdle. But I would say, with all the spinoffs that we're incubating, though, what we're doing is laying the seeds for amazing end user applications in so many different domains, right? I mean, with Rejuve, we're looking at medical healthcare apps powered by decentralized AI on the back end, and that's, I mean, Rejuve app is using SingularityNET platform right now to make assessments of people's health and longevity. And with Mindplex magazine that we're launching quite shortly, I mean, it's a cool sort of futurist media empire using SingularityNET AI for reputation and for article ranking and filtering, and ultimately for writing articles. But it's also really a prototype for a bunch of general purpose tools for decentralized social media and decentralized social networking, leveraging SingularityNET platform for AI. And I mean, in the DeFi space, we've been pioneering AI for DeFi in SingDAO for some time, and that's doing more and more stuff. We're working on putting more sophisticated AI behind the datasets in SingDAO. But then with Cogito protocol, you know, we're working on what's really the best approach to payment that's existed in the history of the human species, right? I mean, we're looking at how to make. We're not calling it a stable coin for obvious reasons. We're calling it a tracer coin because it traces synthetic index rather than fiat. But in the end, this is the first actually stable coin that pins itself to stuff that's really steady rather than to fiat, which is manipulated by central banks. So, and I think, I mean, a payment mechanism that's not bullshit and is not manipulated by crazed token speculators, nor by central banks and associated corporate interests. I mean, this is something of incredible value to everyone, right? So I think what we've been doing with these spinoffs is really incubating the first generation of applications to meet ordinary people's needs, running on top of SingularityNET platform and leveraging decentralized infrastructures. But then each one of these is architected so it can do something based on current AI technology and can do way more as we move toward real artificial general intelligence technology by putting current neural models together with OPenCog Hyperon. And so there's a story in each of these vertical applications for how they go from doing incredible stuff to super amazing incredible stuff once we juice them up with more and more neuro-symbolic AI technologies. And again, this becomes too long a story, right?
There's a story we could listen to all night long, I can tell you, Ben. Thank you very much indeed. Next one I'm going to come to is it's a long question, but I'm going to maybe answer the first half. And this was submitted by Inoke. Thank you very much, Inoke. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. On row 22 on our spreadsheet, Ben. So how do you see blockchain technology being used to enhance the capabilities of AI systems? Can you explain how smart contracts can be used to facilitate the deployment of AI models on blockchain? And how can AI be used to improve the scalability and efficiency of blockchain networks? We'll try and come back to the second half later, Inoke, if we get a chance.
Yeah, how AI helps with blockchain, how blockchain helps with AI are are a bit different questions. But if we look at how AI can help with blockchain itself, I mean, of course, the core guts of a blockchain don't need AI, and by integrating TODA with various smart contract frameworks and Cardano, I mean, we can make a very, very efficient, cheap, fast blockchain at the core. But the main thing that slows down blockchain network is just the need for security and the need to police fraud in various ways. And this is where AI can be a big help there. I mean, the reputation system is a good part of that. Then if you can use machine learning to more efficiently estimate reputation based on less data, you can make a reputation system that works much better and is cheaper. But then there's all sorts of other applications for AI in identifying, people trying to screw with your system. And so I mean, in HyperCycle, we have a cool method that lets you validate a smart contract by running only on, say, 3 nodes of your network instead of on every validator node, which is currently, so that is like 1,000, 10,000 times faster than any current method for running smart contracts. But there's all manner of ways that people can try to screw with that kind of system and cheat it, and having machine learning to look out for those is really important. Now, on the other side, how can blockchain help with AI? I mean, the real point there is twofold. One is to provide ways to allow many people to donate compute resources and data resources into the AI, which is what's allowed by NewNet and to some extent by SingularityNET platform. Because I mean, if you're looking at, say, a chat GPT that needs to run on a big server farm and costs millions of dollars each month to operate, I mean, the business model there is basically have a big tech company burn shitloads of money to gain market share, right? And so then they get network effects, and the competition has trouble competing because they burn so much money buying the audience with free services, right? And what's the alternative to that? The alternative is to get a decentralized community to contribute the compute resources and the data resources that they have, so as to provide services. And I think that's the only viable alternative I know of to get around this methodology that VCs and big tech has of sort of dominating markets by burning money to gain mind share and market share. And blockchain is the infrastructure that allows large groups of people to pool compute resources and data resources into decentralized pools of energy and information to compete with the centralized ones that big tech companies have contributed. And the other aspect there is incentivization models, right? Because I mean, now the AI going into these centralized AI platforms basically it's owned and controlled by big tech companies. I mean there's open source AI algorithms, but then the tricks used to make these open source algorithms do massively concurrent processing on huge distributed server farms is proprietary IP to big tech companies, right? And if you want the IP underlying massively distributed large scale AI systems to be owned by a bunch of different innovators, so they're all incented for what they're doing rather than all the compensation going into big companies, then you need a distributed, decentralized compensation model. And lo and behold, like that's what tokenomics gives you, right? So I think really the value add of blockchain to AI is in enabling decentralized contribution of processing and data and enabling decentralized incentivation of innovative contributions to the AI, which is going to be increasingly critical. I mean, what we're seeing now, the relatively rapid death of the era of sort of centralized social media networks, with the Facebook going down, the Twitter going down. Google is going to lose its search hegemony because of ChatGPT and so forth. So we're seeing huge cracks in the hegemony of these big tech social media companies. It's a perfect opportunity for decentralized AI to come in the gap. I mean, just like, you know, mainframe companies that were around when I first got into tech in the 70s, you know, mainframe companies seemed unassailable. Then suddenly they're all dead, and you have Microsoft and Apple and so forth coming. Similarly, these big tech companies that seemed unassailable based on network effects and social media, suddenly they're not so unassailable anymore, and you're seeing the avenue for something really new and different to come in, and we have that.
We absolutely have, Ben, something new and different for everyone. So I know you need to shoot off first, so I've got 3 quick questions for you on HyperCycle, and then one.
All right, yeah. Let me try to give a few short answers, and then I've got to pop off to take my 4-year-old to preschool. So yeah.
All right. So Six Sigma, who's one of our hi Six, lovely to see you here, asks, please explain the overall token utilization structure on HyperCycle. There appear to be 4 tokens. How will these interface with each other? And someone else asks, please describe how we can leverage HyperCycle as a swarm intelligence to better predict trends in the crypto markets. And someone else asks, I'm curious on thoughts about the future of proof of work mining, especially when it comes to NewNet and HyperCycle. Rows 23 to 25 in our spreadsheet for you, Ben, please. Thank you.
I think I honestly don't have time to go through the details of HyperCycle token model, which Tufi has talked about in some videos, but we could do another AMA just going into everything HyperCycle based. But I mean, it is important that there is a separate token for HyperCycle. I mean, I tried to figure out how to do it just powered by AGIX, but I mean, just like with NewNet, in the end, operating this lower infrastructure level is a different thing. You need a distinct way to incentivize people who are running the HyperCycle nodes, powering that layer. Although many of the people running HyperCycle nodes will then be running SingularityNET AI processes and NewNet processes on top of HyperCycle, so the same server farms can be earning, you know, HyperCycle and AGIX and NewNet from the things that they're operating, and potentially other ecosystem tokens also. I think once HyperCycle is mature and rolled out, this is just going to be, you know, the fastest, cheapest, and easiest way to run decentralized AI processes. It's going to interoperate with Cardano network and cross-chain with other networks, and indeed people with servers and suitably powerful processors will be able to run HyperCycle nodes and earn tokens that way. And Tufi, who's running HyperCycle, has worked through the economics of running HyperCycle nodes in great detail, and the HyperCycle store, you can see how to get started running HyperCycle nodes on the current early alpha version. So that's already going right now. There's a little bit of proof of work inside the guts of Toda, which is inside HyperCycle. So I would say, as an algorithmic design, proof of work is not totally dead. But the bottom line is you just need really cheap, small, simple proof of work that doesn't eat a lot of processing power to add value to a network like Toda or HyperCycle. I mean, I think the era of this big, intensive proof of work that needs loads and loads of custom servers. I mean, Bitcoin has a historical value. It's keeping on to do its thing. I'm not going to make predictions about that. But then in terms of newly developed networks that are suitable to run, you know, massive compute payloads and distributed AI on, I don't think there's a role for big, expensive proof of work systems. There's roles for little bits and pieces of proof of work here and there to help with security mechanisms. But then proof of authority, proof of reputation, and methods like this that we've already developed within SingularityNET and they're rolling out within HyperCycle, Mindplex, and other systems. I mean, these are clearly they're better for the environment. They're just less ridiculous and generally wasteful, and they're less prone to domination of networks by whales who can afford big server farms, right? So I mean, I think proof of reputation is the future. Little bits of proof of work buried in the code where needed. Right?
Thank you very much indeed.
One more question. I'm going to quickly answer before I've got to go, which is that we got a question on how do we keep AI unbiased? And I mean, you'll never fully succeed at that, and none of us are completely unbiased either. And being compassionate and fair-minded is an ongoing quest for everyone with our own histories and biases. But I mean, I would say fundamentally the only solution to this is to have AIs that understand what the hell they're talking about, and that have some reflective ability to understand themselves. I mean the way I work through my own biases and my own limitations as a person is by deep reflection on my own self and how I relate to the environment. And the system like ChatGPT is exact opposite of that. It doesn't even understand the simple words and phrases it's uttering, let alone understand its own self and its relation to its context and its environment and the people that it's talking to. So I mean, I think until you have systems that have genuine self-understanding, you're going to be patching the bias, and you're going to be dealing with these. You're going to be putting band-aids on a fundamental ethical disaster, right? And so that's really comes down to solving large portions of the AGI problem, because as you can see in human life, I mean, overcoming bias in our own minds is hard, and it takes a lot of understanding of the world and self. And I don't think there's a way to overcome that by algorithmic tricks, though you can certainly put patches on current systems to make them a bit less biased and damaging in particular domains.
Thank you. And we might come back to that one later. That's from Big Pay, great friend of SingularityNET. Hi, Big Pay. Gorgeous to see you here. Thanks for joining. Ben, I think you have gone. Have you gone? Are you going to say goodbye? Because I have one last question.
Goodbye.
Oh, when someone wants to know, when do you think AGI is going to happen?
Soon.
Soon. That's a great answer.
I mean,
thanks.
Ray Kurzweil predicted 2029. His prognostications have been interestingly accurate for a few decades now. We're hoping to shortcut that and to prove that Ray was actually a pessimist and get there some number of years before he predicted. I'm not, however, going to put it on our 2023 roadmap. So although I'm open to being pleasantly surprised.
Thanks so much.
I've got to pop off and do some real world stuff, but I think Janet and Matt can stick around a little longer and answer a few more questions.
And indeed, and Jan, thanks very much indeed.
And all the rest of our amazing Singularity crew. Yeah. So thanks everyone for your questions and your thanks for staying the course with us since 2017. I mean, building a beneficial decentralized AGI and Singularity is certainly not that easy, and predicting exactly how long and how hard each piece will be is an ongoing challenge. But I really do feel we're progressing along the roadmap that we laid out in the beginning. And actually from where I sit, looking at all the code and all the developments that we're producing year by year, I'm really quite happy with how things are going. And I think we're at an inflection point now with everything happening in the AI and the core blockchain technology space, where I think in the next phase we're going to see an acceleration of progress in a number of respects. So thanks everyone for your questions and your patience, and I'm really looking forward to this coming year.
Thank you so much, Ben. Have a fantastic day. Right, I'm going to lead the next questions, and then Jan, if you could be ready, I'm going to come to you for some platform questions and adoption questions next. I'm going to answer Andrew from West Seattle. Said, how can I start I see it's meant to be new wave. It's no wave punk band with Desdemona. Desdemona is absolutely open to collaborations. A lot of the band is based in Seattle as well anyway, West Seattle, in fact. So drop us a note. We'd love to do a collaboration with you. First thing we need to do is probably have a chat, play some music. We'll invite you to one of our gigs. So great question. Thank you so much, Andrew. Look forward to playing with you. Jan, I'm going to come into your question, and I'm going to start with the platform adoption questions. There are a number of them, and maybe you can read some of them as you go, or I'll read them. But we'll start with Matt asks, since the beginning it was promised hundreds of AI services on this marketplace, but today there are only 75. What resources are dedicated to this? What has really been invested to pursue a flourishing marketplace? What is the budget, excluding deep funding? And a long, detailed answer without smoke and mirrors, please, from you, Jan. I know Ben has already touched upon how it has taken longer than we thought to get to this point, but it'll be really great to hear your views on those. I know it's a huge focus area for you. Matt, I can assure you, Jan never lets us forget this topic for even a day. Jan, over to you.
Yeah, I think I already addressed it in the introduction. So there are a few things there. Over the last 2 years or so, we put a lot of effort in incubating a number of spin-offs that are working on different verticals. And I think this year we will see services emerge on the platform from spin-offs or verticals like Mindplex, Gem Galaxy, Singularity DAO, etc. So that is one thing that we're working on, which will come into fruition in the next year. Then the next thing is deep funding. I think we wanted originally to have deep funding started a little bit earlier, but it started last year. And that is also on its way. And you will see the first services from deep funding appear also very soon. Then there is work on the platform that we're working on. So I mentioned that one of the focal points would be to make onboarding easier. And if onboarding is easier, and we have deep funding, and we have a pool where we can easily accept existing services, and there are actually also deep funding teams already working on making the onboarding and actually working on the onboarding of existing services, then, as Ben mentioned before, progress is not always linear. We have been working on a lot of layers right now, and I do feel, and also AGI is part of that, and Hyperon and Meta, that we at this year will see a number of pieces of the puzzle fall together and actually come to fruition and pay off. So you will start seeing more utility on the platform. I'm personally convinced of that. And I hope and expect that you will also see there an exponential cycle. As more services will appear on the platform, it will become more interesting. As AI DSL will mature, then you will see a real surge of services, because at that moment, it's not just the single service with a single solution anymore that's interesting, but you can make small services that are there to help other services. And when we get there, you will see a real explosion, and actually the explosion that was mentioned in the phase 2 paper that we're referring to. So that would be my answer to that question.
Thank you very much indeed. Sticking with another question from Matt. On the user side, there are not enough filters to search for specific services. Will you improve this?
No. Yes, of course. So first of all, we have a tagging system, but that's right now only available on if you go to the service itself. But we can make it more functional on the front end. That would be one way of doing that. Another one that I would like to see there personally is to have a simple option, like have the newest ones on top or the latest changed services on top, so that if somebody comes back after 2 months or after a month, they will see which services are new on the platform. Actually, there have been a lot of new services lately over the past couple of months, but I agree it would be helpful to make that more visible. And then there are other options as well. We can we can if we collaborate with something like Conscious City or Smart City, we can make a marketplace specifically for that purpose. And then we have one marketplace with all services for that project. And at the same time, we'll have the same services on our platform, and we will enable that to be filtered. So that could also be another driver of growth, actually, for our platform. But to be very honest, right now, with the 75 services that we have, filtering is not the highest priority just yet. We first want to make sure that we exponentially grow the number of services and put a lot of effort there, also through deep funding and also with the help of you, our community.
Beautiful. Thank you so much indeed. And Jan, what upcoming killer apps will be launched for mass market use?
There is one that I would like to say a little bit about. We have been thinking about publishing this. This has not been published, but it's something that we are working on concretely, which is something that we call smart order routing. And it's very actual because what we're aiming to do, and we're working on that right now, with a number of partners that I can't name at this moment, is to, with the help of a lot of data of on-chain transactions, and with the use of sophisticated AI, we aim to facilitate creating the best orders in a decentralized ecosystem. So going through all DEXs, or a lot of DEXs, our AI, supported by a big data layer, will enable the user to have the best order route based on liquidity of all these DEXs, based on the pricing, based on predictive information that we have, and based on a lot of real-time information that we will leverage with all these that intelligence on top of it. So imagine that what we are aiming for is that our service will give you, simply put, a better price or a shorter lead time or whatever, using multiple DEXs in the ecosystem. And it goes further than a simple aggregation of a number of DEXs. There's really a layer of intelligence that will use predictive algorithms based on historic, but also based on real-time information to give you the best price. So for me, if you ask me, that one has the best opportunity to become a killer app. And the most interesting thing here is that while we're starting to do this on Ethereum, there are also some initial conversations going on maybe doing a similar thing on the Cardano blockchain. So how about that?
Well, that sounds great. I also think the recommendation and reputation apps coming in from Mindflex are also killer apps. And one of our partnerships and our head of risk work together this year, Hedge, we've got KYC tools coming up onto the platform as well. I mean, imagine just being able to stream and use our KYC tools. It'll be very easy for both TradFi and crypto companies to use. And also I think the music generation tools, given the uprising of interest in generative AI, have potential to be killer apps as well. But listen, you tell us, community, tell us what you think would be killer apps. Tell us what you want us to develop. I think maybe we could do a whole questionnaire on that and really bring the best of your suggestions to us. Thank you very much indeed. Related question I think I might touch on, which says, why are spin-offs yet to, from Jake, thank you, Jake, Why spin-offs are yet to utilize AGIX, and why the accelerated growth graphs in the phase 2 plan weren't updated? UNET said it wanted to add services to the marketplace and couldn't because SingularityNET wasn't ready. Well, I'm not sure where and when UNET said that. I've been chatting with them about it. Certainly, SingularityNET platform support is one of the use cases that UNET has on its roadmap, and we will be working. We work very, very closely with the UNET team on this. Obviously, we want SingularityNET, the entire platform, to run on UNET. Singdao say they will be launching a number of AI services running on both SingularityNET and UNET when they are ready. And of course, their priority is the safety, security, and efficiency of products' ability to generate alpha for the end user. So they need a lot of testing and refining, but SingularityDAO has always intended to support the SingularityNET ecosystem as its DeFi arm. Next, related back to Underwater Frog, can you expand on the role the AGIX token plays within the SingularityNET platform? Jan, you've probably touched on the answer, but let's pull it together in one little package.
Sorry, Janet, you were saying?
I was saying there's a question on row 12 from Underwater Frog asking, can you expand on the role the AGIX token plays within the SingularityNET portfolio?
Oh, yes.
The answer being, go for it.
The role of AGIX. So yeah, I'm a big believer in the AI economy, and that is actually what drove me to SingularityNET in the first place. I thought that was a really good use case, and we're talking in about 2017. So there has been some time elapsed since then, but that concept is still very much alive and closer than ever. And that will be driven, like I mentioned before, by AI DSL. And when we have AI DSL fully working on our platform, that will enable connecting services. And there will be different people doing different things on the platform, not just having one service with a specific use case, but a small service doing a small thing, and a small service helping a bigger service that is helping a bigger service. And all these things will be connected, and also using HyperCycle to track these transactions. There will be an economy of, just like the real economy, right? Where there are some organizations that can do a lot of things, but there are also some organizations or people that can do a specific thing very well. And I think ultimately that will be a real and true driver of the AI economy, and therefore the utility of our token.
Okay, thank you, Jan. And now, in the interest of time, I'm going to merge 3 questions together. So you get a chance to think about them while I merge them, and then I think we'll come on to map back to Neuro-symbolic AI after this one. So first question up for you is on row 21. How does SingularityNET compete with big tech when they can acquire and integrate AI tech into their product suite? Do you envisage them ever integrating SingularityNET services, or are you envisaging a different roadmap to mass adoption? And then alongside that question, we will also ask, we've got one more from Underwater Frog, asking, how do you see real-world adoption of the SingularityNET AI products developing? Is the adoption speed increasing, or is the market not yet ready? And then we have another similar one from James. Hi, James. James asks, do you think the objectives of AI G4, generate Gen 4 and AGI use will align with the objective of current general automation, e.g. cost, profit, or will it have other benefits that drive its adoption? And we can segue across to Matt on that question. But let's start with, how do we compete with big tech, and how do we see real world adoption? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question. And there are multiple answers to that. So you can look at it from different perspectives. So one perspective is from an organization point of view. So first of all, I think big organizations aren't always the best in innovation, in real innovation. What they're really good at is doing something and doing it better and better and better by pouring a lot of resources in it. That's what you see with the neural nets and ChatGPT, etc., for instance. But it's not the telecom companies that invented WhatsApp. It needed a separate small company that actually at some point became a threat to the big companies. And of course, I also don't have to explain Linux versus Windows, for instance. There is a reason why Linux was successful by using the open source community. So that is from a company perspective. Another perspective is from the developer perspective. So while some AI developers will probably feel very comfortable working for big tech and having predictable holidays and a good salary and being covered, others are more adventurous and would like to follow their own drive and be their own boss and do their own thing. And for all those developers everywhere around the globe, we have an opportunity. We have our platform where they can put their services and monetize them and make a living for themselves. So that's from the developer personal point of view. And then maybe last, but certainly not least, there is the technical and the architectural point of view. So we're creating a framework with OPenCog Hyperon and a platform related to that. That can integrate multiple approaches to AI, and Matt can tell a lot more and a lot better about this than I can. But that means, I think one of the options was, do you think the big tech will actually adopt the platform? I think it's the other way around, that we will integrate big tech in our solution. So we can, for instance, add a flavor of neuro-symbolic AI to the neural nets and the ChatGPTs of this world that are already there, and therefore enhance. So it's not always a competition, a juxtaposition from one against the other, but I think we can actually use all that great research and development that already has been done and integrate it in our framework. And actually also our spin-off through AGI is aiming for that. So helping big organization to use also the AI approaches and services that they already have themselves, integrate them in our platform to make something, and in our Hyperon framework to make something that is even bigger. So I would say we are going to benefit from all the work that big tech has already done. And all of this somehow has to do with, well, it has to do with decentralization. We want to be decentralized, and it has to do with diversity. So already I see that in this small experimental phase of deep funding, I see ideas coming from other developers, from other teams that challenge us and that aim to solve things that we would never have thought about. So I think in the end, diversity here is really powerful, and our decentralized platform facilitates that diversity, and it's important for driving our platform. It's important for driving AGI, but it's also important for educating AGI and make it truly democratic and not narrow-minded AGI, but make it a broad AGI from and for the whole world, basically.
For the whole world, yeah, and that's what we're here for. Thank you very much indeed. Somebody asked, I'm going to take a quick answer, what is the use case of this project? Now, this was before the AMA, I'm guessing it's a new community member. Welcome, whoever asked this question. It is to develop artificial general intelligence. That is our core mission for the benefit of all humanity and a beneficial singularity. But the actual use case of that AGI is basically everything. We're starting with, we're working in biotech, working in media, gaming, DeFi, decentralized computing, and blockchain. in our spin-offs, but ultimately the sky is the limit. It's like saying, what's the use case for AI? Really, it's the most powerful AI tools, or will be the most powerful AI ever invented. Thank you. Jan, quickie for a quickie answer. How long is the frequency of deep funding this year?
We started out with the idea of doing it 4 times a year, and we're still on that road. But there might be some new insights. For instance, one thing that is new is that we're doing governance rounds. And the way we're looking at it right now, we're doing 1 governance round in between each other round. Maybe it will be a different frequency in the future. So that also takes a little bit of time. And to give you one idea that might happen is that for the existing services, I can imagine that at some point, if that's going to be really successful, which I dearly hope, that we might have a higher frequency for those kind of projects than for what you could call the regular deep funding project. So the short answer, the quickie, is 4 times, maybe 3, 4 times. Little bit longer answer is it depends.
Okay, thank you. We've got one more in deep funding. We'll hold it. I'm going to take a quick one, which is Aaron from LA. Hi, Aaron. Thank you. Will it be appropriate and applicable to have your suite of AI apps be utilized as the fundamental tech behind all aspects of a new municipality or smart city like NEOM in Saudi Arabia? Absolutely, yes. This will be a really, assuming everything goes to plan and we develop AGI first, it will be almost inevitable that cities like that will. And of course, we have our Conscious City project in the UAE, which we are working on, which aims to do precisely that. So Matt, we're coming into you now. Tell us, back to Neuro-symbolic AI. Somebody says, I still don't understand how Neuro-symbolic AI will deal with sensorical data. Do you have an idea how to process that with OPenCog? And actually, I thought you were brilliant. Yeah, go ahead.
So that has in my mind, a very clear answer. I presume you mean data from IoT sensors. And that's behind getting back to the questions that Janet just answered regarding NEOM and the Conscious City in UAE. But to answer it more specifically, going back a couple of years, we had some work at basically taking webcam data in smart traffic analytics context and applying probabilistic reasoning upon that data. That was demonstrated at the 2019 Artificial General Intelligence Conference in Shenzhen by Hugo Latapi of Cisco Systems. And he also, not just our system, but also Pei Wang's NAR's Neuro-symbolic system was also highlighted there. But moving forward, so that's kind of backward looking. We've already done that. Looking forward, it comes down to how we treat things within the common knowledge store, the distributed atom space. In that sense, we took the webcam data and then processed that data using PLN separately. But moving forward, it would all be taken care of by working directly in that common knowledge store.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed. I thought what you said yesterday in our all hands about, in fact, you said it in the blog about teaching, and I know it's not exactly IoT data, but teaching. One of the differences between our AI and LLMs is that if you're asking an LLM to recognize a red car, it just takes training data with red cars in it. But our OPenCog AGI approach teaches our system what redness is and what cars are, enables them to put red and car together. And I have been wondering, how do you teach it what redness is? Thank you. It's more sensory data than IoT sensorical data, but on the same theme.
Okay, so that's a good question. I would say in a certain sense, so from an AGI perspective, what needs to happen is exploration of the world. As a child, you see color, but that does not necessarily mean you associate certain colors with a symbol, right? So you, in a certain sense, you keep seeing red items, and you begin people telling you, oh, that the color of that, or so you have to have a context of color before you make that association, but that the color is red, and you begin to make that association. It's something that has to be, in a certain sense, I mean, I don't think a baby immediately says that's red, because it's a language concept that has to be somehow associated with that property of the wavelength spectrum as we understand it now, of that particular property of the object.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. We are going to have an AMA just on OPenCog and Hyperon and AGI. I think we decided earlier, didn't we, in our enthusiasm. So on a more practical level, Matt, still sticking on the AI theme, we have a question, and Ben touched upon it, but we have a question from James. Do you think the objective of AI use will align with the objective of current general automation, i.e. cost reduction, profit enhancement, or will it have other benefits that drive its adoption? Would you speak a little about that, Matt? Ben covered it in passing. Thank you.
Yeah, I have actually thought through this particular question. And of course, AI is associated with automation, cost reduction, profit enhancement, but I think there's more to that question than the simple question of necessarily cost reduction. And I think a good lesson for the world from this perspective is the question of just-in-time supply chains, which are incredibly optimized, were incredibly optimized for profit reduction. Just as soon as someone needs a product, it appears on the shelves. The downside, and so it's short-term profit, but that's not necessarily long-term. In the sense that we're facing the repercussions of that kind of short-sightedness, and simultaneous lack of resilience or robustness of the system. So once the supply chains broke due to that extreme focus on profit maximization, we can see, because of COVID, we still are seeing the repercussions of trying to get everything back in line. So I think that the question needs to, I think AGI has a place in this. I think that it can be, and this is something I've thought about in some other contexts as well, this balance between optimization. It's kind of like overtraining, and it kind of goes to some of the questions about bias and ChatGPT and versus Galactica. Yes, it can kind of have answers. You need to filter things. There's this balance between optimization, resilience, robustness. I think it's a complex question, and there's no single answer.
Such is often the way in the land of AI and AGI and decentralized AI. But thank you for a great answer anyway, Matt. Right, so we are running, galloping towards the end of the questions at this point. Thank you so much for those of you who've hung on so long to listen to all of these ones. One quick question for Jan, please. What is the ongoing plan to grow deep funding beyond phase 2 tokens? Will the program just shrink and vanish as minting decreases?
Well, first of all, it will take 91 years, I think, from the start of the minting until the last full AGIX will be minted. So we have some time until we get there. So that's one perspective. The other perspective is that there's number of tokens and there's the value of tokens. So we believe that, I want to stress that AGIX is a utility token. We use it for a specific purpose, but there's also the mechanism that if more people are using it and if it has more utility, there will be more demand for it, which might actually bring the price up or the value up. So minting less tokens doesn't necessarily mean we'll have less means to support the community on building. And then there's a third perspective on this. There's an opportunity for deep funding teams that propose a project to propose a revenue sharing option. That could be something like we give X% of the profit we take from the platform and we give that back to the deep funding pool. And it's up to the community to reward those kind of projects. So if you have a project that is rather high risk, you could add some revenue sharing mechanism there. We have a template of multiple options. And that might influence and motivate the community to select and award that project. And that would, if such a project, so if a few of those projects would become really successful, that would also potentially pour funds back into the deep funding treasury. So those are my 3 answers to this.
Great answers. Thank you very much indeed. Quick fire one. Just curious if Ben and Charles will do another fireside chat this year. I loved the last one. Thank you, Brian. I loved the last one too. I think there's every possibility we'll have a chat. We're in very close contact with Charles and the Cardano team. That's a great idea. We'll put that one forward and see if we can make it happen for you. Jeremy says the company has so much going on. It's not even a question, it's a comment, but it's a great one. So I'm going to address it. There's so much going on and so many sub companies in its orbit that the updates are exciting, but can also seem unfocused and distracting from @SingularityNET focus to outsiders. Jeremy, we do work really, really hard to try to get our communications just spot on about this, that fact that we've got core technologies and we're seeding their use in a number of strategically selected vertical markets. That's our very core message. But what we will see as we go through 2023, each one of these spin-offs are going to actually spin off, right, and take on their own life. And we are continuously focusing, as we outlined in our Q4 operationals report, we are focusing more and more on our core technologies coming into 2023, and that will help. And then that leaves me with just one last question, also from Jeremy, which I asked you about a little bit. I think you might have left us now, Jeremy, which was on what's the 1-year milestone that will validate AGIX for the AI community. Not sure I totally understand that. So what we're going to do is we're going to interpret it the way we think most useful for the community. I'm going to ask Jan, I'm going to ask Matt, I'm going to ask myself here, and then I'm also going to ask Peter. Peter, you can just, you don't have to come on camera if you don't want. I don't know if we're set up, but you're getting a lot of love there in the community, and rightly so. And instead of which, I'm going to say, what is the 1-year milestone that we think is the most exciting milestone for SingularityNet upcoming. That is going to really put SingularityNet on the map as it deserves to be. So for me, the 1 year milestone coming up that I'm really super most stoked about is actually staking on Cardano. And the reason is we've such a strong friendship and relationship with our friends at Cardano. It's brilliant to have Big Pay here. It's brilliant to have Rand here. And I know many other Cardano friends back. Good job we kept going long enough then. We're on the very last question. Which is, what is the 1 year milestone that you're most excited about for SingularityNet? That will really put us on the map. I'm saying staking in Cardano because we have so many friends in Cardano, and I get questions all the time, both in person and digitally, as to when we're going to have staking on Cardano. Jan's doing an amazing job as product manager with that, and it will be here before the end of Q1. Unless some really nasty bugs or something emerge, because obviously it needs to be absolutely watertight as an application. So that's my one most exciting. Jan, your one most exciting milestone coming up, please, in brief.
Yeah, so there are two important parts of in this sentence. One is validating AGIX. So what does that mean? I would say validating AGIX means showcasing the utility of the token, and not just the value of the token, but the utility. And the other one would be near milestones. So there are a lot of things like AI, DSL, OPenCog Hyperon, beta version, etc., or alpha version. But with these two characteristics, I would say in the deep funding program, there is a clause that 25% of the funded amount should be applied to AI services. So I would put my money on all the services that will end up on the platform through deep funding, also existing services. And then part of that funding that will be applied to actually making those calls and to offer that to prospective customers, for instance.
All right. Thank you very much indeed, Jan. Always thinking of the customer and always thinking of the platform. I'm going to come to you next, Matt, and then we'll come to Ben to answer this one and give us some closing thoughts for the day. But Matt, Jeremy has kindly clarified his question for us on YouTube. He said, in another way, what will validate SingularityNet as a leader in AI? What upcoming milestones are really going to develop our reputation and show the world what we're made of? In your perspective.
So I'm gonna, if it didn't have the near in the question, in the original question, I would say AGI development. Just release AGI. But near-term milestone for SingularityNet, that's not that kind of changes what I was going to say, and I'm probably going to just say it because I had the original question, which is the first release in the near term, hopefully first half or certainly in 2023, of AI DSL on the SingularityNet platform.
Everyone is super excited about AI DSL on the SingularityNet platform. And I think it also answers the second question. It will validate SingularityNet as a world leader in artificial intelligence. Thank you, Jeremy. And Ben, same question to you. What will validate SingularityNet as a leader in AI, and or what are the most exciting upcoming milestones that you're most looking forward to in 2023? And maybe you can share some closing thoughts at that point.
Yeah, so since you guys all answered the question so nicely, I'm gonna take the liberty to give a slightly different answer, because I don't really think in terms of calendar years, which is not really how we orchestrate our development anyway. And I mean, of course, getting to benevolent, democratically guided AGI is the main thing. I don't think we're too likely to get there in 2023, though miracles can occasionally happen. But what I'm really looking forward to is having the first useful working example of all the layers of the novel tech stack that we're building working together. So OPenCog Hyperon, together with neural nets, serving an end user application, running on SingularityNET network, running on HyperCycle, running on NewNet, right? And we get that whole stack working. You know, then we've got genuine alternative to the big tech company tech stack, and we've got it doing something useful and cool that's exciting the world and helping people. And that will come before we get to AGI, but that will be an incredible milestone on the way to AGI, because having your whole stack really operating smoothly in a unified way always is a threshold leading to faster and faster phase of development. I mean, I think we're at an inflection point now where I think things are going to start moving considerably faster. But I think once we get to that integrated, fully functional tech stack with all the layers running together, doing something useful, that'll be another inflection point, right? And then that next inflection point, probably the inflection point after that, is the singularity, right? So that's not necessarily a 1 year question, but it's maybe a 1 to 2 years thing, and we'll working to do it as fast as we can while ensuring quality and ethics and all that.
Thank you, Ben. We certainly are working towards it with all of our capability, all of our focus, and all of the absolutely brilliant people at SingularityNET and the brilliant people who follow us in the community, without which we couldn't do anything at SingularityNET. And Jeremy says, thanks, Ben. That's exciting. So great answer. Thanks so much, Jeremy, for all your questions. Thank you, everybody, for your questions. Thank you for coming on in. Peter wanted to, I wanted to ask Peter what he's most excited about. Peter, are you going to tell us? Hi.
Hello. Yeah, sure thing. For me, it's going to be AI DSL as well. That's a bit boring in the answering the same, but yeah, since basically whenever I understand about the project, that's been the thing I'm most excited by. So definitely looking forward to that the most.
Yeah, AI DSL is a very important ingredient, right? And when we talk about having OPenCog Hyperon instances and large neural nets serving end user applications, acting on decentralized data, I mean, we're assuming there's a good way for all these pieces to coordinate together. On a certain level, SingularityNET platform has solved that for a number of years, but it requires some human engineering to figure out how to fit each two pieces together, right? And the AI DSL, the promise there is to automate letting different agents in the network figuring out how they can fit together. And you can see how that, together with a whole bunch of really cool agents running in the network, gives the possibility that jigsaw pieces sort of self-organize themselves into a configuration that gives you a massive intelligence boost, which is the sort of thing that makes me really glad we've sort of been thinking about ethics and benefit in the whole design of this thing, right? Because there's really a possibility of exciting stuff just popping out there in unanticipated ways from the combination of different ingredients. I mean, not that the first public release of AI DSL immediately is going to lead to the singularity. I mean, there's going to be several enhancements to the functionality of the initial AI DSL and so forth. I mean, there's still plenty of steps to go, but yeah, seeing the first version get out there is going to be a major milestone. I mean, it seems like a long time ago Charles Hoskinson and I in the brainstorming session decided to do the AI DSL and make it a priority. And there's been a lot of deep tech in the intervening couple of years.
Yes, Peter, nobody would ever call AI DSL a boring answer. It's one of the most exciting things to happen ever on the whole planet. So thanks so much for coming on camera to answer that for us, Peter. And thank you, Julian, for your lovely comments. And thank you, all of you, for your comments, your engagement. Please keep it up. We'll keep the comments going after we close down. We'll be posting this for people to watch in perpetuity. So just in closing note for me, I would like to say on a personal level, a really big personal thank you to those of you in the community who reach out to me and give me feedback on all the communications we do. I appreciate it so much. It makes a huge difference to me. I woke up, my first message I read on New Year's Day in 2023 was from a SingularityNET community member. And, you know, it just summed up how engaged we all are, how we are a family. As Jan was telling a prospective partner this morning in a meeting, we don't see a boundary between us and our community, and we don't see a boundary even between us and the world. It's one long, seamless chain of decentralization and progress towards inventing the most powerful technologies for the benefit of all in humanity. So thank you very, very much for coming along. It's going to be an utterly fabulous year ahead. I have huge optimism and confidence in the incredible technologies that we are producing, in the growth and the strength of our spin-offs as they come to fruition, and in our decentralization and our ongoing ever strengthening of our ties with you in the community. Wishing you all a fabulous 2023. Please keep tuning in. We're shortly launching an ecosystem festival online on YouTube. So there's going to be lots more exciting videos for you to watch. Jan, Matt, Ben, do you want to say goodbye? And thank you.
It was my pleasure. Thank you, everybody, for being here and asking these great questions. Looking forward to more.
Thank you, Jan. Thank you for everything you do. Matt?
I second everything Jan said, and thank you for everything. And I've got to run to a meeting to discuss and work on AI DSL.
Roll it out, Matt. Roll it out. Ben, closing. Thank you.
Hasta la vista, baby. All right. Thanks everyone for your time and attention. And I'm really psyched about what we're going to accomplish this year with all your help and support.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. See you again very, very soon, and happy 2023. May it be the year of the singularity. Well, maybe early days of the singularity. Bye.
We've got the foundations.
We've got the foundations. Exactly. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Ibby. Thank you, Haley. And big thanks to Rainer on the technical side.